I'm glad you joined us to craft together today. I hope you're having a wonderful summer and reading lots. This video is the second part of a three-part series on the Take and Make crafts, which can be picked up at the Dryden Southworth Library, Tompkins County Public Library, and Lansing Community Library. Today, we'll be working on making moving animals. Inside the envelope for the Moving Animals craft kit is one piece of origami paper, one oval with an adhesive section in the middle, two long strips of paper with two hole punches, two short strips of paper with two hole punches, one strip of paper with one hole punch, one strip of paper that's much thinner with an adhesive section on the end. Then inside the extra supplies flap, there are 5 plus signs, one short strip with an adhesive section, 5 squares with one hole punch in the center, 4, it's 4, and 4 squares with an adhesive section in the middle. We're going to use a strip of 1-inch paper and a small rectangle of red, this is going to be the tongue, and a sheet of origami paper. So this is double-sided, so what we're going to do first is we're going to fold this in half. It doesn't matter which way, we're going to fold it in half both ways eventually. And now crease it, and we open it, and we fold it in half the other way. There we go. So now we're going to open it up all the way, and you see that we have a center point where both lines converge. We're going to take each of the 4 corners and fold them down to that center point. This one corner, this is the second. The third, and the fourth. If it's a little uneven, don't worry. It'll all look fine in the end. And now we're going to take this and flip it over. Now we have the same crossing point between our 2 halfway point lines that we made in the very first steps, except on the other side of the paper. And we're going to do almost the same thing, but only with 2 corners. So I'm going to bring this corner down into the center, and the only thing you have to do with these 2 corners is make sure that they're next to each other. And fold this one down into the corner. So now it should look like this. Next, we're going to flip it over again. And we're going to take this point right here and fold it in to the center. And what should happen is that the side, which was here, should line up perfectly, or very close to perfectly, with this diamond. We do the same thing on the other side. Fold the point into the center. And now on this diamond part, we're just going to fold that over. Again, the point into the center. There we go. So now you should have something that looks like this. And now we flip it over again. Now here, we're going to make a special type of fold. And we're just going to open up the two flaps, if you like flaps, like this. See, we're just pulling on this seam until they round out. And then you take this corner and this top corner and you pinch them together. And then you just crease it. So we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just tuck our fingernail under the seam and pull up the other one. And then take our points and pinch them together. So now it should look like this. You can flip it over if you want to better see the other side. Now we're going to set this aside for a little bit. With this piece, we're going to fold it in half the long way. Because we want this to be a 1/2 inch wide. And I'm going to take this piece, and then if you pull up first on the part that we folded down, so like this, that's one layer, and then you pull up the layer beneath that, there's actually a hole in here. See? So we're going to tuck this strip up that hole. And you want to make sure that it's sticking out the bottom a little bit, because that's what you're pulling on to move your animal's tongue. And then you just take both of these layers, the little layer and the thick layer, and we fold them down. There we go. Now make sure that your strip is tucked under these little wings, like that. And next you're going to take your tongue, which has a little adhesive on the back, and we want to stick that in here so that when his mouth opens and shuts, it looks like there's actually a tongue in his mouth. So I'm going to pinch and rub my fingers a little bit to get them warm. I'm going to pinch the adhesive patch and push with my thumb and pull with my finger, making a shearing motion until the backing slides off enough that I can easily peel it away. So now I'm going to make sure that this is symmetrical and sticking out just a little bit, but I don't want it to stick out too much. And then I just lay it down, and it'll glue itself on. And there we go. I think mine is going to be a fox. We're going to learn how to make an animal with waving arms. We're going to set this big round piece aside for a moment because we're not going to get to that quite yet. What we're going to do first is we're going to take these two long pieces with 2 hole punches in them each, and we're going to take the middle hole punch, the hole punch that's closest to the middle on both, and align them. So you should have something that looks like this. And as you can see, my hole is lined up so you can see through it. Now I'm going to take one of these small X shapes, X or a plus, and I'm going to stick it two arms, the opposite arms, through the hole. So I'm going to fold it like this, and then I'm going to take that, these two folded arms, and put them through the hole. I find that it's easier to put one arm, or put the arms one at a time through the pieces. So I'm going to put them through one leg first, and then the other. So now we have this. I'm going to keep these sticking straight up for now. And next, I'm going to put on one of these square pieces with a hole in the middle. And this hole is going to get the arms from the plus sign through. Now, we're going to bend the arms down so that they lay flat, and take one of these purple squares and get the adhesive backing off. So the way you can do this is you just rub your thumb and finger against each other until they're nice and warm, and then you pinch the piece like that, and you make a shearing motion. So you pull with your thumb and push with your finger, or vice versa if you prefer. And then it makes it really easy to peel off the backing. Now we're just going to stick this backing side down onto the paper with the hole punch. That's what's going to anchor it. So now, these, well, animal legs, I guess, these animal legs can move freely, but they're anchored together. Next, we're going to take another cross, or a plus. We're going to take another plus, and we're going to poke it through one of these upper holes. So again, I folded it so that the two opposite arms are folded up and the other two are lying flat. And then I'm going to stick this through. And then I'm going to put on one of these shorter pieces with a hole punch on both ends. There should be two of these. One, two. And I stick one of the holes like this over the two arms of the plus sign. And then I'm going to put on another hole punched square. And I'm going to fold down the arms. There. And now I take this purple square, and again, I make sure that my fingers are nice and warm, and I pinch, and then I shear. And that makes sure that there's a little line, because the backing will slide against the adhesive, so that makes it easier to pull off. And then I'm going to stick it on. By doing this, we essentially form sort of like a peg stuck through, so that everything can freely spin while still being anchored to each other. I'm going to do the same thing to this hole. Take one of the plus signs, bend its two arms inwards, okay, and then stick it through. And then I'm going to add my double hole punched short piece, like this. Add a green single hole punch square. And then I'm going to fold down both arms and take this purple piece, make the same shearing motion, and remove the backing so that I can glue this piece onto my hole punch piece and the plus sign. So next I'm going to align these two holes at the top of the double-ended hole punch. Remember there's a hole punch here and here as well. So I'm going to align these two. And now I take one of these plus signs and I repeat the same process. I fold the arms up and then I put them through the hole like this. I'm going to add a hole punched square on top, fold down the arms, and then use my final purple square with its adhesive, and that will glue it together. Oh, wait, forgot something. This is probably the most important part actually, and this is the handle. So this handle is what's going to allow you to make your animal's legs move. So this needs to be placed on underneath the hole punched bluish square. There we go. So our layers, we have a plus sign, then the two layers of double-ended hole punch paper, and then this single hole punch short piece that's going to act as your handle, and then a hole punch square on top. We fold it all down, and we add one of these purple squares as the adhesive. And there we go. So this is the mechanism by which our animal is going to move its legs. So I'm just going to hold this down here so you can see. If I pull on this handle, the legs come up, and if I push on it, the legs go down. So now, this is going to be the body of our animal, and you can color that in any way you want. I'm just going to do something simple for now, and I'm going to give my animal, let's give them green eyes. There's a little eyebrow, and a smiley face mouth. I'm sure you guys can do something much more intricate than this. But now it's time to stick the body of your animal onto the animal itself. So there's an adhesive here, and we're going to do the same thing. Warm up your fingers, pinch on either side, and make a shearing force. And there we go, it's lit. So now you can just pick up that edge, and we have an adhesive. Now the trick is actually getting the adhesive onto this square. The reason we're going to use this square is because this square doesn't have to move, number one, and number two, it's at the point where the legs come together. So I'm going to take this square and I'm going to stick it onto the adhesive. There we go. Also, make sure that your animal's legs and your animal itself are pointing relatively straight. Otherwise, your animal's legs are going to be just a little bit crooked. So on the back, is going to look something like this. And on the front, you'll see this. I probably could have made him a little bit straighter on that. But, see? He opens his arms to give you a hug, and then he closes them. Congratulations! You've now made 2 fun reading buddies. One who can open his mouth and close it. I think this is a wonderful book, don't you? And one that can wave his arms. Hello, everyone! As Samuel Johnson once said, a writer only begins a book, a reader finishes it. So make sure you finish lots of books this summer. Happy reading!